All right, we are live with Joji and Cody. It's been a long time since all three of us have streamed together, but super excited to talk with these guys. For Cody's title, all three of us have sold $1 million combined on Amazon. Um, yeah,
Definitely.
I'm curious what you guys have been up to as far as like Amazon, because we haven't like even talked a ton recently. So, like, Cody, what have you been up to?
Really just slowly, steadily growing. I just like building a very wide catalog of items that I can actually replenish, and just over time growing it. I know that's kind of the boring answer,
I mean,
but it's what I like to do.
boring makes money.
Yeah, the boring answer makes money. So we've just been doing that, and I don't like to just kind of like look at what other people are doing, seeing their, you see people on social media, they'll go from say one number and then they'll double it the next number. You never know if that's actually sustainable. So I just like trying to find a few items, adding them to my catalog every week, and then just doing that slow build, because over time that that really makes the money. Just slowly adding products to your catalog that you can keep on replenishing and making money on every single day.
Are you still heavily in the shoe category, or like what categories are you in these days?
Yeah, right now I'm 50% shoes. I plan on getting even more into that. Right now, I don't want to say like hit a bottleneck, but it's really just expanding into other brands like Puma, Hoka, just brands that everybody and their mother doesn't think of off the top of their head. Like they're like, oh, they think of Nike and Adidas. I
Mm-hmm.
like trying to branch into some of these other brands that sell super well, but you just don't think about it right off the top of your head, or at least I don't.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Cody, like Nike is the only brand you can sell on Amazon. Did you know that?
That is like the gateway, though. I feel like in OA, like Nike is like sell Nike, or at least get ungated in Nike. Everyone says that. Yeah,
Times are changing, I think.
yeah. I think back in the day, when I say back in the day, a few months ago, when I started doing a little OA, I actually flipped like some Hoka One sandals, and it's actually pretty decent. I haven't really been doing much online arbitrage for in a while, but I know Hoka One is like super like they have a really good following, and their shoes are expensive, man.
Dude, they really are actually.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about getting Hokas for myself, and I'm like, I don't know if I care this much. you
Yeah,
know?
I feel like even in the garage sale pickup videos, like people are like, "Oh, just scoot these Hoka ones for $20 in used condition. I'm still gonna flip them on eBay, and make money." You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Joji, speaking of being wide, you're probably the widest of us all. How many ASINs do you have in your
Ooh,
store?
I think being close to 2,000, close to
Okay.
2,000 ASINs.
Hey, Cody, do you have more than 2,000 ASINs?
No, thankfully not. I can't imagine like repricing each and every one of
That
those.
would be a garbage day, just repricing 2,000 ASINs. I mean, I remember when I sold books and I was cherry picking, like I had similar amount to that. Repricing day was awful. I hated repricing.
Yeah, I honestly do hate repricing. Kind of the next step of my business is I need a way to automate just taking stuff from the spreadsheet and just uploading it to Be Cool. So then if the Minimax price is already set when I purchase the book, that literally is no extra work. So that's something I'm working on still. But Bob says all three of your guys' notifications popped at once.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
go.
go.
It
What a
works.
guy.
It actually works.
We got Unwind Travels. Are we late? No, you are not. We got RW in the chat. Always got RW in the chat. Good to see you. We got Joseph. I have 1,400. Takes forever. It sure does. Joji, have you ever thought about like having you have like a don't you have a VA that either buys or gives you leads? Could he reprice for you?
Yeah, I have a VA. She sources for me. I think she's. If I were to hire someone to do the repricing, I wouldn't. I'd hire someone new because she's actually really good. Like her Keepa knowledge is pretty insane. So we've over the many months that she's honed in. Like I would put her up against a lot of people in my audience like who watch my videos. I think she does really well. So in many ways, I feel like I'd be wasting her skill and her time if I had her just reprice. But with that said, what I'm working on is trying to get the buy cost, the min and max price uploaded when we buy the book so that it can just be uploaded in a single file to Be Cool. So then there's no extra work. So I don't think a VA is necessarily needed, but I have to figure that out how to do it.
That makes sense, and that'll help a lot. We got
Yeah.
Josiah Entrepreneurial in the chat. What's up, fellas? Good to see you.
What's up,
A
Josiah? Nice to see you,
legend.
man. Legend.
Dude,
Yeah.
he just keeps putting up numbers. Always an inspiration.
Joji, are you doing the inventory lab to be cool integration right now?
No,
Or like,
so I'm using GoToLister right now.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my mom is a good go-to lister. Okay.
GoToLister. Yeah, I'll be posting a tutorial video here on how to use GoToLister here in a little bit.
Ooh,
Actually, yeah, I
get
really
that
like GoToLister.
SEO.
Yeah. But right now I just have a spreadsheet. I use a SellerAmp Google Sheet integration. So basically, one click of a button, you take all the data that from the Amazon webpage that you need, put it over into a spreadsheet. All I need to do is then manually add a min and a max price, and then somehow figure out how I can upload that file to be cool. It's something I've been putting off for way too long. It's probably really not that hard. It's just something that I haven't done that I need to do.
We got a question in the chat from Unwind Travels. Joji, I like your model. My question is, how long do you hold a book without affecting your cash flow?
Ooh, it's a good question. So I think at this point, the average books takes like 3.5 months to sell. I still have books in inventory that haven't sold in a year, but I still think that they're going to sell and sell for a profit. So I think at this point, if I'm spending, many thousands of dollars a month, the average book takes, 3.5 months to turn. Like, it's not really that big of a deal if a small percentage of books are there for a long period of time, because right now the average profit per book is $37. So it's like the money from what I'm selling is definitely, it's enough to fulfill, the books I want to purchase during the month. So it really hasn't affected me that much. And as I've grown and had more money for cost of goods sold, it hasn't really been that much of an issue.
We got Josiah in the chat. Any of you guys had issues with Amazon saying your shipping box is overweight? Yeah, I had one recently where they told me my box was 60 pounds, but it was 45 pounds. I just assumed it was an error on my end because, sometimes I'm just like, yep, I can lift it 45 pounds. I don't even bother weighing it. But they're like, Seth, you can't ship anything into Amazon until you acknowledge this.
Yeah.
You messed up. Have you guys had that happen?
Yeah, I've had it like a few times, and it was right on the border where it's like, it could have been possible. Did you respond and say I'm unable to lift a box over 50 pounds? That's impossible. Literally, I can't do that.
You said I'm
maybe
freaking weak.
Yeah, for sure.
Cody doesn't have that problem though because he works out, so he actually has to weigh his feet. So.
No, I've definitely had that issue before. And it's I think it's because my scale, you put these big Home Depot 20 by 21 by 24s, and it just kind of droops a little bit.
Yeah, the scales are kind of small, right?
It's so garbage. Those are so garbage for boxes. Like I have that.
They are pretty bad for boxes. Like getting the one that has more surface area would probably be way better, but I just use this one, and
I think I just don't care enough.
Yeah.
We got Chelsea. How much capital did you start with? Cody, do you want to take this one?
Like $500.
$500.
I mean, it depends. Like reselling, $7. Amazon, like $5. I think it's like $500 to $700. So yeah, not that much.
I started
back in a little bit.
I started back in 2015, 2016 when I was a college student. So back then, didn't really have much money to my name. I started working in a lab at the university. So I was making maybe like $200 every 2 weeks. So I literally just used like half my paycheck. So I started with probably less than $1,000. I started with a thrift model though. Buying stuff at Goodwill back then was actually a lot easier. Like they didn't know how to sell stuff online really. And yeah, just built it up to a couple thousand. And as I built it up to more than that, I transitioned to OA books because, it's like, I feel like you have two resources. You got your capital and you got your time. And it's like, if you don't have a ton of capital, then you need to be using your time to find really, really great undervalued products. The best way to do that is out in the wild where things are super cheap at garage sales and thrift stores. But then you get to a point where it's like, if you have many, many thousands of dollars, most of the time you can't spend thousands of dollars on a Saturday morning at a garage sale, but you can start utilizing your capital if to help bring back some of your time. What about you, Seth?
Well, honestly, not to discourage anyone, Goodwill is still good as long as you have some time and like you sit there and scan every single book. Well, I guess I've scanned books there less, but like I still find stuff at Goodwill every once in a while. It just like Joji said, it just takes more time, and kind of like with the whole Nike question, like if you sell stuff like that everyone and their mom isn't talking about and thinking about, like you're just going to do better. So like also if you source where other people aren't thinking about, like maybe not a thrift store, but maybe an estate sale or maybe a free pickup or something like that, you're going to do a lot better. But for capital, like I think this is the way that most people should start. You shouldn't just be like, yeah, I'm Cody, I'm going to throw 100K at this. Like, like, bro, like you should not do that. Like, don't even throw 10K at it. Don't even throw 5K at it. Just like, like maybe try like $400 or like $700 or something, just enough to get something started, and you can see some sales happen and then start putting more in as you get more confident and more skills. So for me, I started with about $30 at a thrift store buying used clothing, and I waited for those items to sell or start to get some sales, and I started putting more in from there. So
yeah. So I think the take-home message is you can start slow and you can build just over time. Like all of us, how long have we all been selling? Like I've been selling since 2016. What about you, Cody?
2017, just like
2017?
random stuff online.
Yeah, I know you had some eBay. Go watch his eBay videos back in the day. Right along.
Yeah, I've got some archives on the channel. We were doing good, and that's the funny part too. Is like, no matter what you start, like just post something because like it's so funny. Like not to like reminisce on some of my stuff, but if you guys scroll like way back in my Instagram, like I made a post where I had like $0 and my car broke down, and like this is like the picture of the car breaking down. I'm like, like it's pretty funny. Like just scrolling back and looking back. So like if you guys are starting now and you don't have too much money, like that's kind of an advantage in a certain way. Like yeah, it sucks, but like you post it, other people see that, they relate to it. They respect it, and they're like, man, like, Joji's putting in the work, Seth's putting in the work, right? Like, we gotta help this guy out, and you guys link, and it's exponential after that. It's just like you start meeting these other people that are also making money doing it, selling stuff online, and then you start making more money. That's really how it is.
How long have you been selling, Seth?
I started early 2019.
2019. So I guess the point is we've all been selling for a while, right? And it's like it seems like we all started kind of bootstrappy, not very much money. So I think it's.
No, I started immediately with a big online arbitrage.
I got a $2 million loan from my dad.
A small loan.
Small loan. $50,000. I just took out a 0% APR card for 50 grand right at the start. Like might as well try hard.
Oh gosh. Dude, you should look at Josiah's comment. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What did he say?
So I had that the other day, and I disputed it, and now everything shows as restricted, and I can't send shipments.
That's crazy.
I have to wait for them to deny my dispute. Oh, okay. So you disputed it, and so it basically locked you up until you got that resolved, basically. That's annoying.
That's crazy over just one box that's potentially 60 pounds. I mean, I feel like they should take into consideration the years of years of boxes that have been correct and under the right weight. But they're like, nope, one box, you dispute it. Well, I guess we'll just lock your account for.
It's just Daddy Bezos flexing his muscles on you. Like, no, tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm right. Like, basically, like, Amazon's right. Daddy Bezos is the boss. Like, yeah,
that's letting me know you're in his sandbox.
That's so annoying. Gotta just avoid Daddy Bezos and say yes, sir. Like, you're right. Basically, that's the answer to every Amazon problem. Almost is just acknowledge. Just kind of sad, but.
Yep. All right.
We got Unwind Travels. I started doing OA books arbitrage, but stopped due to storage limits 2 years ago. Has that issue resolved, and can you send as many books as you want, Joji?
Yeah, so you have an inventory limit. It's called what is it called? Capacity. You have a capacity limit, and so you can actually bid on more space. And I should make a video about this, but basically you can bid for extra space, and as long as you sell a certain amount of money, you can get basically all of it reimbursed. So the way that I see it is with capacity limits, like there's really like unlimited space if you just bid on the space at the going rate and you sell a decent volume with the extra space that you had. So like for this last couple months, I've had to bid for extra space, but I haven't had to pay anything extra because the sales that I've had during those months where I bid for more space was able to reimburse the I forget what they call it. It's not a fee, but yeah, basically my takeaway is you can basically get tons and tons of storage as long as you're gonna actually sell stuff, which is like
But so did you had to pay some out of your profit in order for that?
you had to set aside a certain amount of money. So I think my storage capacity was like 100 cubic feet, and I bid for like 50 extra cubic feet. And if I didn't use that extra space to sell anything, they would have charged me like $75. But I forget exactly how the formula works. I was able to sell above a certain amount and get it all reimbursed. So basically, I was able to increase my inventory level by 50% and pay $0. But that would only work if you actually, you wouldn't have to pay anything as long as you actually sold a decent volume during that time. But the worst case scenario was I would pay $75. I mean, for the average book I sell is $74. So it's like for one book, I could literally increase my limits by 50%. So I'm not sure how it's going to look come November, December, because I know last year they kind of shut things down, but they also switched to this capacity limit thing at the beginning of this year. So I'm not sure how that's going to play this coming up November, December. But all I'm going to do is just buy whatever I can buy and get in as soon as I can. There's a lot of seasonal books that I want to do. A lot of like right now I'm sending a bunch of Halloween books, trying to send a whole bunch of Christmas books as well, and for more seasonal stuff. So I'm just going to try to send as much as I can and just see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, the capacity limits, it seems like you can just bid on more space, but I don't know, Cody, I feel like you probably have like infinite space. Like
Yeah, I've like
you haven't
I
thought
had a problem one time, and then one of my buddies said that like, hey, like if you just move, or I've read somewhere it was like if you just move more units, that FBA very fast, they'll give you more storage units. So I think I had like 2,500 unit capacity at one point. I was over, and I bought all this stuff, and it was a disaster. But I made sure to reprice really well, and then just send stuff that absolutely flew. And then they increased my capacity to like 6 or 7K units. And since then, I haven't went over that. I also just try to buy just enough inventory to sell in 30 to 60 days. So I'm not trying to hold these things for the long term. I'm just trying to make some money and keep it moving. So that's never been an issue for me. We go very wide.
Yeah.
I think the storage limits, like for me, it was the worst when I was selling books. Like I was trying to cherry pick books, and like my goal was to get to like 5,000 books, because like there was like a certain amount of money I was trying to make with that. And I had 2,600, and storage limits in 2021 happened. Probably what happened to you, Unwind Travels, and they said, Seth, you get 1,600 slots, and you have 2,600 right now. So so I just did a bunch of repricing and got that dealt with, but made books a lot harder.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that's changed is now you can actually get more space if you're willing to pay for it, which is really fascinating. And again, at least right now, it seems super, super stupid cheap. So as long as you just take a little bit of time to learn about how to actually bid for the space and how it works, like you can't really go wrong unless you're sending in books that are like $10 or $12 books that you're getting at thrift stores. In that case, I'm not sure if it would work. But if you're doing 08 books, like you mentioned, you have a higher sell price, I think it would definitely work.
RW is saying, I really enjoy my print on demand, much easier and great ROI, much simpler than before, and very little competition. I mean, RW is just going to find something that works and just do great with it. So
sweet.
Have any of you guys heard of print on demand or done it?
Yeah, I did Merch by Amazon back in like 20. I started when Merch by Amazon started, like 2015, 2016. And yeah, it actually did pretty well with it. Like a couple years, it made like over 10 grand with print on demand, but I kind of got burnt down on it. It's like it's a very grinding game, uploading new artwork, and so I kind of stopped doing it. But I still get paid this day. Like every Christmas, still does pretty well from shirts that are just on Amazon that I made. So
That's
it's not
sweet.
a lot of money, but it's like nice to get a little paycheck, every month.
Yeah, I definitely haven't done any of that, but there's also this influencers program.
Yeah.
That seems interesting. I just don't think that's for me. It's like shiny object syndrome for sure. To just do all these things.
You
Yeah,
can
I
make
actually,
good money.
yeah, actually want to get into that, but for whatever reason, Amazon keeps denying my application, so I'm not sure why.
Oh no.
It's because you're
But
garbage. Just
it
kidding.
probably is. I mean, that probably is. So last month I made $78 with Merch by Amazon. I think the last time I made a shirt was like 2019. So
Dude, passive income. Yeah.
making so much money every month off of, and I still make money on like Redbubble and Teespring and TeePublic because like cross posted everything. So like every once in a while, Redbubble's like, here's a check for $30. So it's not like it's a lot of money, but it's kind of like, oh, it's kind of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
We got Carl God 1. Joji, is your VA full time or part time?
She's full time. My sourcing VA is full time. Yes.
So you say I make $3 a year and $12 a year.
Dang.
I mean, as long as you put no work in there, Josiah, that is technically passive. So, take your $3 and be happy there.
Here's a good question though. What is the end game for your Amazon businesses?
Yeah, I'm interested to hear you guys respond.
Exit strategy or just ride the wave until it crashes? Does anyone want to take this first? We should go around and answer this.
Yeah, let's go Cody first.
I do have. We will definitely stream again. I do have to go, but I'll give you guys my answer really quick. Basically, we're an Amazon sandbox, and kind of like the issue that Josiah was having, they can just kind of shut. They can just kind of they can kind of shut you down like at any point in time whatsoever, and you're on their platform. So I think like building your own brand, owning a different business, is just nice to have, because we're ultimately in the Amazon sandbox. So moving a portion of your money over there, I think is very smart. And you never know what's going to happen. Amazon, this whole business in general, is still pretty new. So I think it's very important to invest in other businesses, other ventures. So that's kind of my take.
Well, thanks for coming, Cody. It was fun having you.
Thanks for being here, Cody. Appreciate you, man. Good to see you. Go back to lifting weights.
Okay.
Pick up those boxes.
Thank you, Joji. Bye-bye.
See ya. Yeah.
What about you, Joji?
What's my end game? My end game was always financial independence. So my wife and I are trying to FIRE, which stands for financial independence, retire early at 35. And the point is, you get to a point where technically you no longer would need to work because the investments that you have in the stock market, they return enough money on a yearly basis that you could pretty much live forever at your current lifestyle. So that's a goal of ours. Not that we're going to retire. So I guess I should mainly say trying to hit financial independence by the time we're 35. And I see kind of like what Cody said, Amazon is being something, unfortunately, like largely out of our control. Like there's, so many things that could go wrong with your account. And, Amazon really could just say, we don't want you anymore. And that's one of the reasons why I think Amazon's a great way to make money. And I definitely have invested a lot of money in Amazon. I have the overwhelming majority of our net worth outside of Amazon that's invested in the stock market, like where we can actually control it. So right now, like, cost of goods sold, like I'm willing to have about like $50,000 of inventory at Amazon, like in terms of buy costs, like any one time. But as our net worth grows, I'll feel more confident like increasing that amount because, I'm trying to keep it at like the same percentage of our net worth. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is trying to keep it at, like 5 to 10% of our net worth. Because if tomorrow Amazon says you can't sell anymore, it's like, well, losing $50,000 would suck. it's way better than losing way more than that. So I guess my take is I'm going to use Amazon to ride out this amazing opportunity as long as I can, which is that I could just make many thousands of dollars every year that I'm in good standing with Amazon, but just realize that, I really don't have any control over my account, that Amazon at any time could say, sorry. And then I'm kind of out of that. And it's one of the reasons why I'm still teaching. Like, so I'm a high school teacher, for those of you who don't know, and I could definitely at this point make the argument to just quit teaching and like stop teaching, just go full time. But I also just know at the back of my head that teaching is much more secure, that Amazon could go away anytime. So I don't know. That's my take on it. Maybe I'm a little bit paranoid, a little bit too concerned with it. But I'm curious to hear what your strategy is. So.
Well, like first of all, if I'm curious on like some clarification. So if Amazon wasn't around, like what business opportunity would you probably be in? Because I know like you're in a lot of other videos I've heard like you're purposely saving like a ton of money every year to try to get to financially independent, retire early, so that like working is optional basically. Like you'll probably be doing something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like because I definitely like think about FIRE as well, and like that's a goal for me as well. But like I know I'll be working doing something. So like if Amazon wasn't around, like what business venture do you think you'd be in?
I think it'd still be in reselling. I love reselling. It's the art of finding something undervalued and then reselling it for what it's worth and making money that way. So I'd probably would still be reselling. I'd probably do like eBay. I'd probably just go to garage sales, thrift stores, video game hunting. Like I don't know. So I would do something to definitely to make money. I just love the reselling game because it's so simple. And like in reality, the premise of it's really simple, right? So I think I would just do something in that space. I guess all I'm saying is with Amazon, even though I've been selling on Amazon since 2016, I guess don't know if I can confidently say that in the next 5 years, I'm 100% going to be selling on Amazon because there's just so many things that could go wrong. Like I talked about this a little bit, like back in 2021, my account was suspended for, selling three supposed counterfeit textbooks. And I saw how basically Amazon completely shut down my account and said, you literally can't do anything until you fix this issue. And I was like, whoa, that was like the first wake up call where it's like, I don't own my Amazon account at all. Like I'm playing in their sandbox. They can completely shut me down if they want to. So that kind of just has made me, a little bit more cautious with investing more money. So I could totally invest way more money into Amazon than I'm doing. It's just that as our investments grow and they get larger and larger, I feel like the better play is just to kind of stack money up in the stock market and just let it return like a normal 8% a year and go that way.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And yeah, it's just like Amazon's a very risky. I mean, honestly, like statistically speaking, it's probably not risky, but like if you're that 1% or that 2%, like, and you have your whole net worth in Amazon, like that changes your life.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it's a scale of risk, right? If you have 100% of your net worth in Amazon, that's very, very risky. If you have 10% of your net worth in Amazon, that's way less risky. So
yeah.
I guess I think Amazon definitely it is risky if you have a large percentage of your net worth in it. So that's kind of why I try to keep like my inventory between like 5 to 10% of our net worth and not exceed that.
Yeah, for me, basically, I'm probably a bit more in a riskier boat. Basically, the path that I basically took was like number one, like learn how to sell. So like for a while, I didn't have a ton invested into inventory. Like I was cherry picking books. Like we probably had under $5,000 invested in books, and like was making like $3,000 to $4,000 a month in profit. Then I transitioned to like some RA and OA, and then eventually eBay to Amazon. Eventually I started investing more money into it. But then like in order to do online arbitrage efficiently, like just running it with $10,000 just is really, really slow progress. So I decided to go even riskier to have not just my whole net worth invested in Amazon, but have like leveraged credit and loans. invested in Amazon. So basically,
that's even greater than
that's even greater than my whole net worth, because if I got suspended with all that inventory, like 50,000, at some points like $80,000-$90,000 of inventory, like I wasn't paying that back. Like it was going straight to bankruptcy if I didn't get like my account back. And so like thankfully it didn't happen. Like I was able to sell stuff. Like I never got suspended over the course of a long period of time. But I like knew like, okay, like we can't just like have this over my head for years and years. Like we need to be paying that off and having inventory like in cash. So now that's kind of where I'm at now. And a bit further on beyond that, I have my whole inventory in cash. We're rotating around like, it's somewhere in the ballpark of like 80,000-90,000 in Amazon. And we've been putting 5 to 7K a month in Vanguard for the last like.
Wait. Go back. How much are you paying in Vanguard? You said.
What's that?
What did you say about Vanguard?
We've been putting a lot of money in Vanguard like every single month. So
Sweet.
yeah, so we're like it's still probably a majority of my net worth is in Amazon, but like we're making some progress to like Joji was saying, like we're changing that ratio, because I do understand Amazon's a very risky game. I would love to have Amazon be more like 10, 20, 30% of my net worth at some point. But I'm not there right now.
I'm excited that you're investing in Vanguard. What are you investing in?
It's just the S&P 500. I think it's like
BTSX.
It's
or
just
is it VOVU? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I think there's multiple ways to invest in a very similar thing, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the plan. Like the idea was to just build up a money-making engine and have access to invest. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Vanguard. So we can get to this question, but Lorenzo says, what's Vanguard? So Vanguard is just an investing brokerage. So there's tons of different brokerages out there that you can invest your money with into the stock market. So I do like a financial Friday with all my students because I'm a high school teacher. I do it on Fridays. And this is a question I always ask all the time because I talk about like investing with Vanguard. So essentially the way that I explain it to them is like, imagine investment brokers like, or brokerages like grocery stores. Like there's like 50 different grocery store chains and you can buy produce at any one of them. Like you can buy tomatoes at Ralph's or Vons or, Walmart, wherever. So all of those are just grocery stores that kind of sell the same thing. So Vanguard is just like a store. It's like one of the brokerages. And the reason why I like investing with Vanguard specifically is that the fees that you're charged to invest in the products that they offer are cheaper, or at least seem to be the lowest compared to any other brokerage. So in other words, they're charging me less money to buy the investments that I want. That's why I like to use them.
Yeah, because like the point is like not to make 8% a year and then pay 2% a year in fees.
Right, exactly.
We're super behind in chat.
Yeah.
Catch up. So Joji,
Yeah.
can you use the Amazon tax exempt to buy from third-party sellers tax-free?
Yes, you can, and I do that. Yes. So anyone I buy merchant fulfilled, if I buy from Amazon Prime using a non-Prime Amazon account, all those are tax-free purchases. And so you can do that.
Yeah, and I'd highly recommend doing that.
Yeah, because that's crazy, right? I mean, because taxes like on the low end 4% and the high end like 9%. Like it's pretty crazy, like how much margin you can bake in just by not paying sales tax.
Joji, I met a 7-figure Amazon seller, eBay to Amazon, who just learned about tax exempt.
That's crazy. Like, you're going to pay for his living expenses just by that one thing.
It's like, dude. Cool. Joji, sell them under generic brand. You will have no issues.
What are we talking about?
He's talking about
Print on demand?
The t-shirts.
I mean,
but I don't think you're having issues, were you?
No, I'm not having issues. I just haven't made a shirt since like 2019. And so I just haven't put really much effort into it since I did a lot. So since I did more in the past, but I think it's still a great opportunity. I like to do this better. I like to do books better.
Unwind Travel says, Joji, do you only buy and sell used books?
Yeah, almost entirely. There's some OA products, traditional OA products that I bought a while ago, that are still actively selling. I'm actually not transitioning, but I'm experimenting with some other seasonal related items like Halloween and Christmas related media like DVDs and CDs and even vinyls. I even bought a Christmas vinyl. So it'll be interesting to see that. But basically looking at keepographs of media products that always see a hump, like a pretty massive hump, kind of like textbook season. So like here's one right here. This is like a Peanuts 1960s collection. It's a DVD set. And so like this thing spikes to like 35, $40 during Christmas, and then it's like usually right around like $8 to $10 in the off season. So if it always shows that hump, like let's just experiment, let's see what happens. So, but pretty much like 99% books.
We got Cisco in the chat.
Cisco,
Oh,
let's go. Favorite
Joji.
video game.
Yeah.
Favorite video game of all time is actually RuneScape. My boy Seth knows RuneScape good. Old school
Yes, sir.
RuneScape. Yeah, a console-based game. I only had the PlayStation 2. So on the PlayStation 2, I'd probably say probably just Grand Theft Auto or something. I don't know. When I was a kid, I'd play it all the time. Pokemon for sure. Actually, what's funny is, so I follow the Profit First system. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. I mean, I think you are, Seth, the Profit First system, but
I thought you were talking about like the Profit First system, like console. I'm like,
oh no, no,
like the Pokemon Profit First.
no, I follow the Profit First system. So the first 5% of what my business actually makes gets put into an account called profit, and I use that 5% to spend on like whatever I want, like stupid stuff, and then the other 95% gets split between the other categories. But yeah, I actually do a little bit of Pokemon card like sealed investing as well, but also with a very, very small percentage of my net worth. So yeah, definitely Pokemon over Yu-Gi-Oh, only because that's what I had Pokemon cards when I was a kid, and I still like Pokemon.
There's actually so many interesting investments out there that's not like S&P 500 or even like crypto. Like there are like certain like electronics or like lines of products or items like that like consistently they discontinue it, and like several years later they like 5x in price, and it's just disgusting. Like
it's crazy. Yeah,
it's just like, wow, if I had bought like 100 of these at like $40, like they're $250 now. Like
yeah, I agree. On the same token, my dad did quite a bit of baseball card investing back in the early 2000s, and all those cards, sealed boxes, are worth absolutely nothing. I told my dad, I was like, Dad, if you just would have bought the Pokemon boxes, the Pokemon booster boxes instead of the baseball booster boxes, you would have retired by now. But it just shows you that everything is hindsight, or everything is, you never know, right? Yeah. So, but
question for Joji.
When I'm looking at Keepa, do you make decisions off of the used price or the used buy box price, which is slightly higher than the used line? That's a good question, Jose. Normally, I try to base it off the lowest used price. I try to figure out an average in my head, look at kind of what is the lowest used price consistently been over time. And if you can buy a book at a third of that price, there's pretty much no way that you're going to lose money unless like unforeseen circumstances kind of come in the mix. There's some times where I might break that rule if I think that the product that I'm buying is maybe a little bit rare or a little bit more niche. It's like definitely, if it's something that is a really old book that has held a lot of value that sells for a lot more, like let's say you have a book that consistently sells for $120, I might be willing to spend like $70 on that book because it's for the last decade always sold at $120 or more. So that would kind of break the, 1/3 of the lowest used price. In terms of the buy box price, sometimes you can see on the Keeper graph the buy box price being very consistent and like consistently always being above the lowest used price. And that would be a time where I might consider not necessarily following like the 1/3 rule. So I guess just be conservative, like especially if you're in the beginning, you don't have a ton of capital. There's so many good books out there that every book that you buy should be like a third below the like the average lowest used price. I think you can find it. You just got to spend a little more time.
Yeah, and I think I've seen Jose around for quite a while, so I feel like he could probably like take some risks if he wanted to. But yeah, it's a great question. If I'm selling used items, I always remember that I'm going to be prime when I get in there. And And then also like, I think this matters less with books, but for a lot of other items besides books, the condition matters in price quite a bit. Like, let's say you're selling a router, like the used good is probably going to be much cheaper than like the used like new, or like the used very good even. So I do like when I'm selling used items, like I would have like all the like new, very good, good, acceptable, like keep a tags on, because like there are certain items, literally the used good is like $50, but the used like new is like 5% under the new price.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so, like, honestly, in my opinion, selling used like new is a really good opportunity because you kind of get best of both worlds. In some cases, you can sell for just under the new price. In some cases, you don't lose that much velocity in sales. And then in a lot of cases, eBay sellers look at the solds and they see like a used good type price. So they underprice their item a little bit too much, but you're still getting to sell it for close to a new price on Amazon.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially with electronics. Yeah.
Yeah. But like to answer the question, like, yeah, probably just like Joji, like somewhere in the middle. I do a thing like sometimes when I'm looking at those items, I'll click on the stack of sellers and I'll select Prime and I'll see who's actually lowest and like how that relates to the lowest line, and the buy box.
Yeah. Just one piece of advice I would just say is just make it super simple. Like whatever the lowest use price is on Amazon, that is market value. Like that's what someone can buy the thing for. So the goal is if for you to make money, you have to buy something below market value so that you can sell it for market value. So just think of it that way. Think of the lowest use price as this is the going rate of this product. Obviously, there is a prime bump, and a lot of times we can exploit the prime bump. But if you really fundamentally want to succeed, then truly you should be trying to buy stuff below the market value so that you can sell it for the market value. And if you can add on the prime bump, then that's just gravy on top. I just would caution you in always thinking that you're going to sell this for the buy box price, especially if in many cases it's significantly more expensive than the inherent value of the product.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't make sense, like
Yeah.
if it's like double the lowest used price, like that's definitely an exception for sure.
Yeah.
We got Cisco in the chat. I do target date fines.
Yeah, target date funds. Target date funds are great.
I have no clue what those are. Do you know? What
Yeah,
are
so
them?
yeah, target date fund basically. So you know how there's an allocation between stocks and bonds. So
Yeah.
so right now you're probably invested all in stocks.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yep.
they recommend that as you get closer to retirement, you should take some of your net worth and start putting in bonds because bonds are way less risky because they will pretty much give you a guaranteed return that's significantly lower than stocks. So over the long run, stocks are going to generally make you way more money because the return's better, but they're also way more risky because you can see a significant drop in the price of the stocks that you own versus like bonds is kind of guaranteed money. But as a result of being guaranteed money, it's a smaller return. So the point there being, if you're somebody who doesn't want to reallocate every 5 or 10 years or every year, you can actually just put your money in a target date retirement fund. And basically it's a curve. So as you get closer to retirement, it's going to change your allocation. So like maybe in the beginning, it's like 90% stocks, 10% bonds. And then 20 years from now, it might be like 80% stocks and 20% bonds. And then when you get to retirement, it might be like 50-50. So it does it all automatically for you, but obviously you pay like a smaller percentage. But absolutely great strategy. I would recommend target date funds too.
I had in
Pretty
my
much
head
anyone.
Target, like reselling from Target.
Oh yeah.
What does this have to do with funds?
Yeah, this is all investing. Yeah, stock
Yeah.
market investing, target date funds.
Low key, I treat my inventory like an index fund. It's funny. Yeah, it's just there is that element of risk, like we were talking about earlier, which makes me paranoid. But you just got to do the best you can and play with money you're willing to lose. So you just got to make the money and understand the risks. And obviously, Cisco knows that.
Yeah.
But we got Unwind Travels. How did you resolve the issue with your deactivation?
That's a hard question. Yeah, I got suspended back in 2021. I sold 3 quote unquote counterfeit textbooks, was given no proof that they were counterfeit, but I had to basically prove that they weren't counterfeit. So I had to show invoices. Obviously, I couldn't do that. So what I ended up doing was I had to write a plan of action. It's called a POA. And basically explain to Amazon, these are the mistakes that I made that led up to these, to what has happened. These are the things I'm going to do in the future. And I also ended up paying like an attorney, an Amazon attorney, like $1,500 to write the plan of action for me, because apparently, they had great success. And honestly, they probably just outsourced it to a VA. Like I ended up just writing my own POA. And I think of the three, I was able to get one of the three removed. The other two, I just kind of had to acknowledge. My account then basically went back into good standing after I acknowledged that. And as a result, I got gated in the popular textbook category, which means I can't sell popular textbooks, which is a lot of the Pearson, Cengage, McGraw-Hill books. And a lot of you, if you're a new seller, you'll automatically be gated in that. And that's actually a great thing, because if you're not gated in them and you start selling those books, I pretty much can guarantee you that you're going to get test bought out by a law firm that is going to ask you to prove authenticity. And if you don't have an invoice, or that you source this book from a distributor or a wholesaler, then you're kind of out of luck. So a lot of people always come to me like, I can't sell these books. I'm like, that's a good thing. You don't want to sell those books.
Yeah, just sell them on eBay or give them to restricted inventory or something, like,
yeah,
because like that's account health issues waiting to happen. They are very, very on top of it when it comes to that. Joji is a straight strategist.
This is
strategist.
I appreciate
I can't
that.
say that word.
Strategist.
We got RW. Got to run. Have a good afternoon, guys. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you. Do you buy acceptable books?
I do occasionally. Generally only if it's on eBay, if I can see the pictures and if I would deem that it's actually in better condition than acceptable condition, then I buy it. On Amazon, if it's in acceptable condition, sometimes the people just, like the seller will actually write the description of the book and it actually appears that it's in good condition. I'll buy those books. But generally, I would say 80% of the acceptable books that I think are undervalued that I could buy, I don't buy. So I do sometimes, but not very often. And then, do you have a transaction view of Seller Central daily to reconcile the right side of your spreadsheet? Oh yeah, so I do go into Amazon Seller Central at the end of the day to write in when the book sold, the check, the payout, the Amazon payout, and also what it sold for. So I do that every single day. It takes about like 5 to 10 minutes. And the real reason why I do that is so I can go back and look at the books I sold so that I could think about adding those as replens and buying those again and again in the future. How can you delineate a prep center book from the rest in transaction view? Basically, every book has a SKU assigned to it. So it has a tag that tells you where the book came from. So all of my prep center SKUs start with a certain, all my prep center books start with a certain SKU. So I know if I open up that book in the order, it'll actually say, oh, it came from the prep center. And I do have to go here in a second, in a minute.
Yeah.
So
let's go through the comments real quick. Yo, what's up? Thanks, y'all. This will help in my buying decision, starting to dabble in the book arbitrage, E to A flips. Yeah, it's super good. Joji explained that so well. I loved it.
Let's go, Cisco. I like
they want to protect their property, man. They just want to protect their property, or their property, their intellectual property. But yeah. And yeah, definitely can happen with used books for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, why do they go so hard on books? Because you got to imagine from the publisher's point of view, like a lot of these books are worth so much money, and if you're putting a whole bunch of new books on the marketplace, like that is giving buyers the opportunity to not have to pay for the book's new retail price. And the other aspect is if they're putting a whole bunch of used books on the market that are actually fake, which are actually counterfeit, they're completely destroying the market, because most students are going to rather, they're going to want to buy a used book for $40 than a new book for $120, just like the reality of it. So we got Romer in the chat as well. I do have to go.
Yeah, see you, Joji. Thanks for coming.
But thank you so much, Seth. We got to do this more often for sure, man.
Yeah, that'll be fun. All right, see you, man. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.